Hey guys, it's PlazmaScream, and this week we're going to talk about last season's MP reward being Claw of Horse. And this is one of the most important gears in the entire game, and one of the most essential gears for every single offense team for multiplayer. You should have it on at least one character for every single match, every single team that you use when you are playing multiplayer. And we're going to go over why it's so good, why it's so important, what it does, who you should use it on, how to use it, all those things. So, here we have Claw of Horus, of course, which evolves from the War Gauntlet, which is the reward from last season. And it has 3 effects here. The last one is most important, but it has 2 other good effects too. So the first one, when the Claw of Horus user tags in, the opponent takes 10% of their health and damage. If they were at 100% health, that goes down to 90. But if they're at 50% health, it goes down to 45. So it's not, a flat 10% each time. So it's not going to go from like 100 to 90 to 80. It's 10% of their total health. Still a good, bit of damage and appreciated. But the main thing this is good for is actually that when that happens and you tag in, you are technically like damaging the opponent, yourself. So it counts as giving you a little bit of power. And if you use it alongside Tainted Totem and the Master's Death card, when you tag in and that effect happens and take a little bit of damage from Claw of Horse, it will actually give you a bit of power, and you will actually get 2 bars of power on tagging. When normally with just Totem and Master's Death card and that's it, you would not be able to reach 2 bars on tagging right away. With this, you can. With some characters, even with this, you do not always land especially 2 unblocked, because it does, take a bit of time to reach. Oh, 1 second. It does take a bit of time to reach the 2 bars. It's not as fast as it would be if you use like Heart of Darkness or Ibistic, because they have higher power generation. So, some characters they don't have an issue with this, but other characters you might appreciate having a little bit more power gen in the form of like Red Sun Wonder Woman or Animate or Harley Quinn, or if you want more like Regime Green Lantern, 600 Wonder Woman, for example, because that will allow you to more consistently change, especially to from Master Death card when using the setup of Claw of Horus Totem Master Death card on your utility carry setup. So for some characters you don't have to do that, but for some I have noticed that they do happen to block when you tag in when they weren't blocking, which is really annoying. Next effect, when an opponent tags in, all damage to the opponent increases. Basically, it gives you a 10% damage increase to the Claw of Horus user, and this will stack 3 times if they happen to tag out a maximum of 3 times. And it will not go away until the Claw of Horus user tags out. And what this actually is pretty cool for is it gives you a damage increase when you are getting KOs as well. So if you're using Claw of Horus plus Tainted Totem, the utility carry setup, and you get a knockout with that character, you will get a free damage increase. If you get another KO, it'll go on top of that, up to 20% damage increase. So that's really nice. And by the time you get 3, all 3 characters are knocked out. So usually you don't get the 3rd effect unless someone happens to tag out before they get KO'd. In which case then you would, but that's kind of rare. So free damage, very appreciated. And then lastly, the most important effect of all these, when you go for a special one, you have a 75% chance to disable or shatter 1 random gear the opponent has until they tag out. And it will be permanently shattered until they tag out. By itself, no other gears, this is pretty good. However, this gets even better and far more consistent when paired with other gears and specific kinds of characters. Because 75% chance is good, but it's not guaranteed. But there are ways to make that even better and make that chance go up higher. The reason why this gear is so important is it allows you to shatter a very, very annoying gear such as Astro Harness, Batmanja Helmet, Killer Croc Painting Card, Ingo Soda, especially on those characters that have damage reduction already from like Noof to Shazam or Batmanja Batman. And it can also shatter the gears of a 4th world user. This is pretty important if you're fighting a Noof to Shazam also, because otherwise he will resurrect guaranteed. Even if you were to like one-shot him, he would resurrect guaranteed, and his passive would activate and it would cause him to tag out, and you would not be able to knock him out. So if you were able to shatter to full tilt gears and then one-shot him afterwards, that would actually bypass his passive and make it so you can knock him out, and he will not be able to protect himself with that guaranteed resurrect. So Claw of Horus is extremely useful. Now, as for the characters you should use it on, there are a whole bunch, but I can list off some, really good ones. So we're gonna go ahead and just talk about some of the best ones to have Claw of Horus on. The two back rolls here, Arcanite back roll and Cassandra Cain, they have a special one that can apply up to 3 gear effects. What that means is if you're using Claw of Horus, you can shatter up to 3 gears with just 1 bar power, 1 special one. You can wipe out all gears that the enemy opponent has with just 1 bar immediately, right away. That is fantastic. There are no other characters in the game that can do that. A lot of them have, special ones that can apply 2 gear effects, but these two right here, Arcanite back roll, Cassandra Cain back roll, they can apply up to 3 gear effects. That also applies to if they're using the Ibis Stick or Lescope Helmet or League of Assassins at Depth Bleed, they will apply DOT 3 times as well. So whole bunch of DOT applied, whole lot of gear shattered. Almost every single Batman character is extremely good at shattering gears and applying DOT because they have special ones that can apply 2 gear effects. Some can get up to 3, not guaranteed, but sometimes it will happen. It's kind of like a thing of if the first 2 special one hits miss, but like the kick lands, when you do the projectile attacks afterwards, you can get up to 3 gear effects sometimes after that happens. It's kind of tricky to time, but I have noticed I'm able to get it done after doing a heavy combo with the Batman, and they go flying, and then do a special one after because it puts a distance between you. And then sometimes when that happens, the Batarangs will apply like 3 gear effects. So that's one way I've seen it, and I've also done it sometimes when using the Master's Death Card plus Claw of Horus on a Batman character, because he does not always chain every single hit of a special one from Death Card, so he might miss the first couple hits, and then like the kick will land, and then you get the Batarangs coming out after. So those are some scenarios to make it so the Batarangs can actually apply up to 3 gear effects. But the ones that can do that are the ones that have longer special ones. So Batman Ninja Batman, Arkham Knight Batman, Dawn of Justice Batman, Flashpoint Batman, Gaslight Batman. Those ones can apply up to 3 gear effects. All the rest can do 2, with the exception of Animated Batman Beyond, right here. He can only get 1. This is the only exception out of all these Batman characters. Batman Beyond Animated can only apply 1 gear effect. Only shatter 1 gear per special one. But the other ones can get 2 to 3. Okay. And some other ones here. Batman Catwoman, not too bad of a Claw of Horus user because her passive can actually shatter a gear with a Dark Power special if you've waited for the charge up. And she can actually shatter a gear with special 2 as well if she gets 2 bars and she gets the Dark Power special 2. Though this does take a long while, but that's pretty unique to her. And it stays shattered until she gets knocked out, which is pretty sick. So it's not like they can tag out and get it back. Nope. It will stay gone until she is KO'd. Cyborgs are pretty good supports because they can, if you time your heavy combo to where when the projectile is coming out of his arm, is about to come out, you can do a special one when he's like spins around and it's about to blast that that energy blast out. If you time it right there to where the special one starts and then they get hit by the blast as special one is starting, that blast can actually trigger a gear effect to happen, so you can shatter a gear with his heavy combo and then shatter another one with special one, and all cyborgs can do that. So that's pretty cool. Regime Cyborg is in particular really good support because he has a lot of power generation from his passive, like a whole lot. So he's able to get a lot of power very fast. So definitely a good one. Same thing for DOT. You can apply DOT from his heavy combo too. The 2 dark sides, if you were to have Claw of Horus and Enchantress and you got 2 bars of power, 2 back-to-back special ones, you don't have to time it, you don't have to block, you don't have to do any kind of basic combos. 2 back-to-back special ones, if you have 2 bars, will shatter every single gear the opponent has, because with Enchantress, the Enchanter Skulls will apply the gear effects from Claw Force. If you had Aegis Stick, they would apply DOT as well during that. So very easy way to do that with them. Pretty good supports. Flashpoint Deathstroke is one of the very best utility carries because if you are pairing him with his Flashpoint teammates, both of them, like you should, and you give him Claw Force, his assist attacks with Batman and Aquaman can actually apply gear effects. So you can shatter gears with Batman and Aquaman when they are tagged out, and Deathstroke is going for a special one, and they can help him shatter gears, and if he's using DOT by chance, also apply DOT as well. And with Claw Force and Tangy Totem, he's able to just spam special ones on everybody, shatter all their gears, and KO them in the same special one. If you have Astro Harness, you can just spam special one over and over, refund his power because he's doing 0 damage, and shatter it before it goes down. You know, this is one of the best characters in the game, but you guys probably already know that. Doomsdays are very good special one supports and special one carries because special one is so fast. Like Ultimate Liftoff is, I think, the fastest special one in the game. Because of this, when you give them Claw Force and Tangent Totem, and you fight someone who has an Astro Harness, you can use that special one up to 5 times before the Astro Barrier goes down. And you have, like, I think over a 90% chance from all your attempts to shatter it, to shatter every single gear that the opponent has. It is that quick. It starts and ends extremely fast. And you can abuse this by, using special one, Claw Force, and Totem over and over and over and over on the Astro Harness user. Up to 5 times at most if it's fully maxed out Astro and it has the full duration of how long it lasts maxed out. You can use up to 5 special ones before you lose any power at all. So you just keep your power every time you do it because you do 0 damage due to the Astro Harness invincibility. So by just spamming special ones on the barrier, you can give yourself an extremely high chance to shatter it before it goes down. And then by the time it is, the barrier goes back down, you will almost guaranteed have shattered every single gear they have. So they are extremely good used as a Claw Force alongside Totem. Rebirth's Green Arrow, this is a very unique support because with Claw Force and the Master's Death Card, he is the only character in the entire game with those 2 gears. If you were to tag Rebirth's Green Arrow immediately, right away before anybody else, or whenever you want him to, he can immediately tag in with Claw Force and Master's Death Card and shatter multiple gears that opponent has. Normally with a Death Card Claw Force user, you would have to do things like previously have tagged in that character before in the match and use a special, and then that second and tag-ins after that, they would be able to get that full gear shatter with the Master Death Card and Claw Force. But Rebirth Green Arrow can do that right away. He does not have to wait. He doesn't have to do any kind of basic attacks to trigger that to happen later on. He can just immediately tag in on his first time in the match right away and apply gear effects from Master Death Card because the little arrow that comes flying down from the screen can actually apply gear effects. So you have to use special one like right away, and that will trigger Claw Force to activate and Aegis Stick if you're using that. So that's a really, really good support. People know that actually, but Rebirth Green Arrow is an excellent support because he is the only character in the whole game that can do that. Nobody else can. Let's see. Red Lantern is a really good support because he has basically infinite power, until he runs out of health. So because he's always having power, you can give him Claw Force and Enchantress. Use one special one. It'll lose all his power, but he'll get it back, naturally just by waiting. And then he'll regenerate his power. And after you use a special one, just block if you want to be safe. Or alternatively, you can do a heavy combo. After he does like the spin and knocks him flying, if you use a special one right there, the skulls from Enchantress will start flying in if you're using it, and it will apply the gear effects from Enchantress, and you will shatter all the opponent's gears. And if you're using the Aegis Stick or the other gears I mentioned, that will apply the DOT from that too. So you apply a whole bunch of DOT and shatter all their gears. If you didn't want to do that, you could just block and wait for the skulls to start flying in, and then do a special one right there, and that will trigger the timing to correctly have the skulls apply all the gear effects. Find some more of them here. Let's see. Lex Luthors, particularly the ones that have the energy blast that comes out of the lance on a heavy combo. remember what I said about Cyborg earlier, how you can time his heavy combo with a special one, so that like energy blast will trigger a gear effect. Yeah, you can do the exact same thing with Insurgency Lex Luthor and Crypto Lex Luthor. So if you go for that heavy combo and you time it, so right when he's about to blast that heavy combo, the final hit, out and fire that projectile can actually trigger a gear effect from Claw Force and DOT gears too. So they are really good supports, and also that'll happen to apply DOT and power drain. So that's a really good way to handle tough opponents, is just spamming the DOT and the power drain so they can't even fight back. So they're really good supports here. I don't think Bronze Lex Luthor has he doesn't have the energy blast, but I think he can still do that. I just have a harder time, pulling it off. But it's much easier to do with the other two, in my experience. All right, Lord Joker. This is one of the best supports because not only is he going to have a special one that applies poison DOT, and it's very strong due to its high damage, but he also applies 2 gear effects on that special one, so he can apply up to 2 gears, two gear shattered with a special one, and apply 2 rounds of gear DOT, and then on top of that his poison DOT too. So a whole lot of DOT and up to 2 gear shattered. And you could even use Quake Engine too, and a Quake Engine Joker is extremely useful to a Claw of Horus user, which he is. So you could shatter an opponent's gears, and then it takes them longer to tag out. Now they can't tag out and get their gears back as fast as they normally would be able to, so they're stuck inside the match, tagged in. They can't tag out, they can't get their gears back, and they're just locked in the fight, meaning you have all the time in the world to tag in your carry and wipe them out before they get a chance to run away and get their gears back. So you could run a setup like Claw of Horus plus Quake Engine and like Razor Scimitar or whatever you're using, and trap them and prevent them from getting their gears back. That's a really, really good combo right there. Let's see, what else do we have here? Flashes, especially ones like Reverse Flash, Black Knight the Flash, Rebirth Rolly West. Basically about everybody besides like Metahuman Flash. But they are excellent supports because they can use their infinite light combo, the 1-2, 1-2, 1-2 punches. If you want to see, this, I have my Black Knight Flash video, how to do that combo. But you can do the infinite flash combo to get as much power as you want. And then what you can do is you can use a special one, and then it'll send them flying if it landed unblocked. And then you can rush in, close distance, move towards them, do a heavy combo, and then for most flashes, this will like knock them on their face. And then when that happens, when this you do a special one right there, and if you're using Enchantress, the skulls will come in right there and start applying the gear effects from Claw Force, and even Stick if you're using that too. So you apply a whole bunch of DOT and shatter all the gears. And if you really want to, you can get it's like 3 bars of power. If you really want, just keep punching until you get max power. Another thing you could do, if you didn't want to do basics, or maybe like you don't want to touch them, it's too scary. Maybe it's like a Magic Catwoman, or like I don't know, some kind of scary character you're fighting. What you could do is actually you can get your power right, do a special one, and then immediately after do a second special one, and then that will give you the appropriate timing to make it so the Enchanter Skulls will apply all the gear effects without you having to do any basic attacks or any kind of specific timing. So any flash can do that. All of them, every single one of them. But some of them are able to do the heavy combo that will either make them go flying or knock them on their face. And those are, give you good opportunities to use another special one to apply the gear effects from Enchantress. But if you didn't have the ability to do that or didn't want to do that, you can just be simple and do the special one and then another one right after to get all the gear shattered. And Scorpions can do that too. If they get 2 bars and they have Claw of Horus plus Enchantress, they can make the skulls apply the gear effects from 2 back-to-back special ones. I mentioned that in my Scorpion video. So all Scorpions are good supports for that reason. And MK Scorpion, if he's using like Ibistic also, and he happens to get 200% on his special one minigame, and he's using Gear DOT, that Gear DOT will crit guaranteed, and the Enchanted Skulls will also apply DOT So he would just do an insane amount of DOT, and every single bit of it is going to get crits. So he'll just do huge damage and shatter all the gears. So he's a really cool support if you were doing that. And let's see, what else? Earthtooth Grundy does shatter a gear on tag-in. He's better with a carry though, but like, I do want to mention that he can tag in and shatter a gear. So pretty nice. Let's see. DOJ Superman is a really good support because his passive already makes him able to shatter gears, as is. I think there's a 40% chance to shatter a gear, provided not a gear, all gears the opponent has. And it has to land unblocked. And this can happen with Special 1 or Special 2. So either one. So that's really cool. One of the very few characters who can actually shatter gears in Special 2. But if he lands Special unblocked, he's able to actually shatter all gears the opponent has. And it will stay shattered until they either get KO'd or 60-second passes. So, if they tag out and come back in later on, and it hasn't been a minute yet, they will still not have their gears back. So that is extremely good. He has a very, very, very good support. Now you might think, he can already shatter gears. I should just not run Claw of Horus on him. No, in fact, you should use both. You should utilize this passive and Claw of Horus at the same time with him, because then that gives him an even higher chance to shatter gears from his passive having a chance to activate and Claw of Horus having a chance to activate. So you should still definitely make use of Claw of Horus on him. And in particular with these 3-hit Special 1 Supermans, if you do 2 back-to-back Special 1s with Claw of Horus and Enchantress, you will shatter all gears the opponent has. Because the skulls will have the perfect timing to be able to apply all the gear effects with Claw of Horus and other, DOT gears if you're using those. And I do this a lot with Black Knight Superman, my Black Knight Doomsday team. Because even though Doomsday does have a very, very, very easy time against Astral Harness users, because he just one-shots them, especially if he gets a passive damage increase, it's still nice to have Claw of Horus still, even with a really good carry like that, because it's very safe and smart. If you fight someone that's maybe he can't one-shot, or a damage reduction build, or maybe new to Shazam, it's helpful to be able to shatter those gears to be able to deal with them. So, Black Knight Superman, Dawn of Justice Superman, Injustice 2 Superman, New 52 Superman, those Special 1 Supermans with 3 hits on them, they are able to get to the 2 back-to-back Special 1s to shatter all the gears. So those are really cool supports. One of the reasons why I actually keep my Injustice 2 Superman low promo instead of promoting him, because he's actually a really good support. And I really just like the concept of a support that's hard to kill. I think that's really cool. So I really like the fact that his passive can prevent him from getting knocked out by specials, and he's really good at shattering gears. Man of Steel Superman also pretty cool, because if his passive activates when he goes to a Special 1 and he's trying to shatter gears, it just gives him free power, and he can just rip another one right away alongside with Claw of Horus and Enchantress. And you can just spam Special 1 over and over, apply a whole bunch of, DOT if you're running any kind of DOT gears, and shatter all their gears with Claw of Horus. And this is very easily accomplished if you're using like Noof 2 Wonder Woman as your carry on the team, because she just feeds him power from being a Justice League character. And then you can use that power to, just spam Special 1 over and over and over. And which is really fun when his passives keep activating, because it's just free power. And if he's got DOT and Claw of Horus, he can beat anybody, even just low stats like mine is. It's really funny, just smacking people over and over and doing all that DOT, shattering all the gears. It's so fun. I love using Man of Steel Superman like that. Legit one of my favorites. And let's see what else we got here. I believe the Arkham Knights is able to do that combo like I mentioned with Claw of Horus and Enchantress. I think I've tested it. I got it happen one time. I'm not sure if he'll shatter every single gear like the other ones can that I mentioned earlier. But I will note that one thing he can do is his heavy combo has a lot of hits on it. So that will give him a lot of power in order to make good use of Claw of Horus and Enchantress to get the power he needs in order to do that. So, from all the hits on his heavy combo, it's a really good way to gain a lot of power fast. So that's actually a really good way to use the Arkham Knight as a support. And that is what I do instead of using him as a carry. I think it's better that way. And here is one of the best supports right here. We have the Batman Who Laughs. If you give him Claw of Horus and the Master's Death cards, when one of his teammates has tagged in before him, and then you tag him, Batman Who Laughs for the first time afterwards, with Claw of Horus and the Master Death Card, he will tag in and he will shatter every single gear the opponent has. If he's running DOT gears, he will apply a whole bunch of DOT from the Master Death Card. So on his first tag in, he can do all of that. The issue with that is he cannot tag in right away and achieve that. He has to have a teammate tag in before him. I believe this happens because Savage Robin will count as Batman Laughs like attacking the opponent. So when he tags in later, it will act as if he had already attacked the opponent before. So that gives you the requirement that you need to apply all the gear effects. Because if you don't know, if you had like a character in the first slot with the Master Death Card and Claw of Horus and David Stick, stuff like that, and you went for like a heavy combo with that character before you tag out, if you tag them in again later on and you go for a special one right away, you will, on their, technically first tag in, they let off in the match, but they'll tag in for the first time. On their first tag in, basically, they will get that full gear shatter and all the DOT applied if you went for a heavy combo at the start of a fight. So like that Savage Robin kind of counts towards that, even though he hadn't been in the match yet. Savage Robin comes flying out when his teammates tag in. So if one of his teammates, at least one, has tagged in before him, he will get that Master Death Card full gear shatter interaction. And you can also give him Quake Engine on top of that, so that when he tags in, if he's crit augmented like mine is, as you see here. 1 second, I gotta do that. If he's crit augmented like mine is, I can actually potentially, if I get the crit, one-shot them. So he can tag in, shatter all the gears, and then one-shot them all with the same special one. And that is really, really, really nasty. You have the best chance of making that happen if he's like Elite 3, at least. So if you were to run Claw of Horus, Quick Engine, Master Death Card, that'd be a really, really, really good way to use Batman Laughs as support. He's an extremely good support because of that. Let's see, was there anybody else here? Just check in one more time. I think that's everybody, yeah. So that's all the best ways to use Claw of Horus on like different characters. But I can go over a couple more ways and show you like some more advanced ways to use Claw of Horus. Let's see, damage. Okay, 1 second. All right, so first off, you have the utility carry setup. There are two ways to do this. The number one best way is with Arkham Orange Batman. This is the best utility carry in the entire game. And what you'll do is you will use Claw of Horus and Enchantress and then Tainted Totem. With this, you will be able to start the match with 3 bars of power. I don't know why it is putting me back here. Okay, right here. You will start the fight with 3 bars of power, and you'll be doing special 2s until you see someone who has some problematic gears that you need to shatter, like Astro Harness. And then when they tag in with the Astro Harness, you can do special 1s to shatter it before the barrier goes down. You can do 1, 2 special 1s. By this point, the barrier will go down. You will still have all your power because you have not done any damage yet. And if the Astro is still not shattered by this point, you can still do a 3rd special 1 to shatter it. And by this point, you will almost guaranteed have shattered every single gear they have. And then you can do a special 2, knock them out. Astro 1 is shattered, all gears shattered, and then that opponent just got knocked out by a special 2. He can do all this without even having to tag out into one of his teammates. So that makes AO Batman and the utility carry strategy one of the best ways, if not the best way, to use a carry in this game, because you save so much time by not having to tag in a teammate to shatter the annoying gears the opponent has. You actually have to like tag them in, bank on Claw of Horus working, and then tag back into the carry, try to knock them out, hope that it shattered. With this, you don't have to tag out, you don't have to hope, because Claw of Horus with Totem and all the special ones you will do, it will shatter those gears and you will knock them out. It is very, very, very consistent. This is why this is my GOAT right here. This is the man. This is the best guy right here. And the utility carry setup on AO Batman makes him the absolute best. You can try to use it on other characters, but just note that no one can do it quite like him. So one of the other ways you can use this setup is if you run Master Death Card instead of Enchantress. So what you will do is set up like this: Claw Force, Totem, and Master Death Card. On your first tag in, you will not get the Claw Force Death Card interaction. However, when you tag in again later on, you will get the Master Death Card to shatter all the gears the opponent has. And then if you are augmented and you are using Totem, when you do that special one, you tag in, you will shatter all the gears, and then you do special, knock them out, and get the power refund. So in one fell swoop, he will tag in, special one, shatter all the gears, knock them out. You can do this most effectively with a very, very, very strong special one carry, especially ones that are one hit. But there are some other ones that have multiple hits that can accomplish the KO as well with these gears because they just hit so hard. And a good example of that is Arkham Orange Deathstroke. Because of his stats, augments, and his passive, he can very easily achieve KOs with special one, even without any damage increased teammates or gears. He can just, if he tags in a second time, he can do a special one, shatter all the gears, and knock them out. And it's very quick too, because he's got a fast special one. So this is a very, very, very good way to make Arkham Orange Deathstroke an amazing carry. Normally he would have a hard time against Astro Harness because especially two, each hit does not do that crazy damage, but like the second to last hit does an insane amount of damage. If that second to last hit was in the first hit, he'd be so much better. But because that's later on in the special, he has a harder time against things like Astro Harness and John Stewart teams. Having Claw of Horus and Master Death Card on him allows him to get around to Astro Harness and perform much better by deleting those characters right away and being able to easily smash through the rest of the team, with no more disruptions. And that setup is really good on almost any carry, not every single one, but like some carries can perform extremely well with that. In my experience, I have found that exact gear setup is really good on characters like Beyond Batman, Anime Batman Beyond, Arrow Green Arrow, Suicide Squad Deadshots. Obviously on Batman Lobo, pretty good on him. It's amazing on Blackest Night Batman. It's really good on those characters that already have a special one that can apply multiple gear effects because it just makes it even more consistent. So Batman's make great use of that Claw Force Totem Death Card combo. It's amazing on AO Deadshot as well. The Deadshots in particular, they do not need to tag in a second time if you don't want to. They can just, when they see someone tag in with Astro Harness, their special one is so fast, you can use it up to 3 times on the Astro barrier before it even goes away. So if once someone tags them Astro, you can just keep spam special one once, twice, 3 times, and you have a high chance to shatter every single gear that opponent has. And then by that time, the barrier will go away. Just time special 2, land it unblocked, blast them, KO, they're gone. You handled it. But if you didn't want to do that and want to be safe, you could tag out and then tag back in. And because you didn't waste all your power, you will tag in with 3 bars and blast them with special one, shatter all the gears, knock them out. And then after that, you will get your power refund and you will still have 3 bars of power by this point. Of course, that requires a little bit more stuff, like you have to tag out, tag back in. Something like AO Batman does not do any of that. They will always have 3 bars. So that's why he's so good. Who else is really good with that setup? I've tried on Arkham Knight Catwoman, it's okay. I've tried on Red Sun Superman, it's okay. It's really good on Black Knight Doomsday. It's amazing on him because he has that very fast special one. And also because it's one hit. If he doesn't shatter the Astro, and you try to knock them out in special one after the barrier goes down, he might just one-shot them anyway. So sometimes he doesn't even have to bank on the gear shatter, and he just does so much damage in that one hit of special one that they just get KO'd anyway. Especially because he gets a damage increase if it takes a while, and usually it does take you a couple, a little bit of time waiting for the barrier to go down. So by that point, you will get a damage increase from his passive, from being enough time to give him a stack. And by that point, you will have enough power, even with just Claw Horse, Totem, Death Card, just blast them in one hit on a crit special one and just eliminate them right away. So, already Doomsday carries, amazing special one carries, amazing with Claw Horse and Totem. But specifically Black Knight Doomsday is amazing with it because of how much damage he does and how many special ones he can use on an Astro Harness to try and shatter it. So he's an amazing utility carry, one of the very best. I've used it on Jessica Cruz, actually. She's pretty cool with it, because Special 2 and Special 1 are not able to bypass Astro, but with Claw of Horus, you can fix that. So that's really cool. Let's see what else here. I think I tried out Eagle Bane one time, it was pretty cool. He won't chain Claw of Horus from Massive Death Card, but he can still achieve the full Gear Shatter, even if Special 1 fails to connect. And then he has that super Special 2 that can just like tear through people. It's so hard. I tried Contact Black Adam, Claw of Horus, Death Card. It's decent. It's okay. It's pretty good on Incoming Catwoman. I've used that. I've used it on Static. It's pretty good. I like that a lot. Let's see. Who else? I have used a setup that's like Claw of Horus, Totem, Loa Knives on Flashpoint Batman alongside Batgirl for 2 bars. It's okay. I mean, it's alright. If you wanted to use them as a carry, it's probably the best way you can do it. But I don't know if I recommend it. It was just alright though. But this is probably the best character to use Claw of Horus, Totem, Massive Death Card. Flashpoint Deathstroke, like we already talked about, can apply gear effects on his assist attacks when he has his Flashpoint teammates. So this is the best setup for Flashpoint Deathstroke, allowing his Special 1 to not only get KOs, but apply gear effects from Claw of Horus and Shatter Gears. And he can just spam Special 1 over and over and over, knock everybody out. His teammates will knock them out even if they block, because his assist attacks can crit through block, even against crit immune opponents. He is very, very special. And if someone tags in with some annoying gears, you just play very brainless. You don't have to think at all. Just Special 1 over and over and over. Just win it out. Just click it over and over. Spam it. Don't even think about it. Just pull out your, pistols and just blast them. Don't even have to try that hard. Especially if he's crit augmented. Then he's even better. Especially if his teammates crit augmented. Then it's like best team of the game. Or like the second best. It's seriously good. But yeah, that is how I use Claw of Horus. I've gone over some really good setups for this amazing gear. You should definitely have picked it up this last season. It's very important. If you have these shards, I recommend maxing out as fast as you can. I will mention that we do have Tainted Totem season here right now. So if you wanted to, you can save your shards and whatnot for Totem. And you probably should, because that is the best gear in the entire game. Like, by far. It is broken. So if you want to wait to mess with Claw of Horus until after Totem season, I perfectly understand. But you should still, when you get the resources and when you get time, absolutely max this gear out and put it on your teams right away. It is vitally important. This is like a standard Claw of Horus setup on the average character. But there's some other ways you can go about it. You can use like this, especially if you have like power gen on the team, or starting bar power from Batgirl. This is really good right here. Or you can use like this. This is a good setup. If you have a quick into Joker, like Lord Joker, Batman Laughs, that's really good. Or you can use like Let's Go Helmets too. If you want, this is particularly nice because if someone has an Arcanite Harley Quinn on the team, and you're trying to tag in with Massive Death Card to apply the gear effects, and they start firing at you with their passive minigun or machine gun, that might knock out your support if they're low stats. So having Let's Go Helmet can prevent that from happening. So that's a pretty good way to use that combo. If you want to be like not use DOT and be more consistent with the gear shattering, focus on that. You could use like this. That way you can tag in, get a lot of power from death cards, use Special 1. If you have enough power after that, you can do like a heavy combo or just another Special 1 right after to make Enchanter Skulls apply DOT. This is another way you could do that. So you could do this, already get a bar power. That way you're closer to 2 bars. And then to make it really consistent, you can do a Special 1. Depending on the character, you might have to do a heavy combo, or you can just block and wait, and then once the skull is flying in, then you do it right there to trigger it. Depends on the character, but some people can do like a heavy combo, send them flying, or knock them on their face, and then they do it. Or they can like just wait a second, just time it perfectly, and then it'll do it. It just depends on the setup and depends on what character you're using, but that's some ways you can use Claw Force instead of because you don't always have to do like Totem with Claw Force or Death Claw Force. There's all kinds of ways to use it. Basically, this is my point. But yeah, that is how to use this really sick gear, and I hope you guys enjoyed and learned a lot today. And definitely do not undervalue this gear. You need to upgrade it as soon as you can and put it on your teams. I gave you lots of good characters and suggestions on how to use it and who to use it on, so you should definitely know a lot more about this gear. Don't sleep, because it is very essential to every team. I will mention before I go, don't use it on defense. It's not good on defense teams. This is an offense team gear. There's no need to use it on defense, because if someone gets their gear shattered on defense, this is a real person you're fighting. They're fighting your team controlled by the computer. A real person, if they get their gear shattered, they can just tag out right away. They don't have to wait in the match and play dumb and just let you kill them. A real person is just going to tag out and get their gears back. So don't bother using Claw Force on defense teams. It's not good. And also, no need to use it for like challenge mode or breakthrough or story, because they don't have gears. No point. Obviously, it's a multiplayer gear. But yeah, that's about all I gotta say about this gear. And later on, we're gonna do a Godfall Superman video, as this challenge is here this week. So keep an eye out for that. But thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it very much. I hope you learned a lot today, and I will talk to y'all later. Thank you.